As Christian men, we are called to surrender our lives to Jesus. To surrender to Jesus means to give in, not to give up. We are called to use our strengths, abilities, and opportunities to grow and prosper. We are called to strengthen ourselves, our families, and our communities. We are called to be disciplined, courageous, and honorable. This is Surrendered Strength. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Surrendered Strength Radio. I'm glad to have you. I'm your host, Nylan Lansing, and we are moving on to desires, phase 2 today of a course that's coming out. So we will dive into that in just a second. Before we do that, as always, I encourage you to like and subscribe, share. The goal here, the mission here is to live and honor and glorify God. Live in a way that honors and glorifies God. And we want as many people living in this way, living in a way that honors and glorifies God, because that is our purpose, to honor and glorify God, to acknowledge God, and to do God's will. So the only way this happens is we share the gospel. So I encourage you to share this podcast, be light and salt in the world, and just share the gospel. Use your actions. Love people, help people, and then when the opportunity comes, use your words. Share the gospel through your actions, through your words, and maybe sharing this podcast with someone can be that light for them, and to just help them understand how to live in a way that honors and glorifies God. So I encourage you to share it, like, subscribe, rate it, leave a review, all that fun stuff, all that jazz. Be sure to check out, just drew a blank, honorandglorify.com. Be sure to check that out. You can sign up for, again, the free ebook. Well, it's not free, but I'm going to give it to you for free. You can go on Amazon and buy it, but I'm giving it away for free because I think it's important. 15 proven ways to become disciplined and valuable as a Christian. We need men and women who are disciplined, who are self-controlled, to just be the examples, to imitate Jesus, who was the ultimate example, and the one who shows us how to be disciplined, how to remain self-controlled, and to live in a way that honors and glorifies God. So again, pick that up on honorandglorify.com. And if you don't get the link to the full book, then I will email you the full book once you have the link. We're in transition of switching. Originally, I was just giving out a portion of the book just to give you guys a taste. But I want to, it's imperative that we become disciplined, that we become self-controlled, that we become valuable as Christians. And I want to give you that book for free. Again, it's on Amazon. You can buy it. It's ebook. You can buy it, but I want to give it to you for free so that you have it, because that's how important it is that we become disciplined, that we understand how valuable we are as Christians. So again, we're in transition of switching the link from being the partial book to the full book. So if you get the partial book, I will send you the full book, the link to the full book. And if for whatever reason I miss it, you don't get the full book, just send an email to me, or you can message me on Instagram, Facebook, surrendered.strength, and we will get it figured out so you can begin to live and really become disciplined, self-controlled as we are called to be. So let's dive into today's topic. And again, we've been going over uh, the course that I'm working on, just an overview, an outline of the different phases. Last week we talked about purpose. This week we are talking about desires and and how desires play a part in becoming disciplined and living in a way that honors and glorifies God. And again, this is just an overview of the course. So I'm not doing deep diving today, or trying not to. These topics are important to me. So sometimes I can start to deep dive. But again, just trying to do an overview of desires and how desires play a part in our lives and how they affect how we live and honor and glorify God. So, first thing we need to remember or realize is that the desires come from our heart, and not all desires are good. The Bible talks about uh, evil desires. Probably talks about evil desires, or desires of this world more than good good intentions, good desires. It kind of talks when talking about desires. It doesn't necessarily say. It kind of leans towards the will of God versus using the word desire when it comes to living in a way that honors and glorifies God. But there's good desires, there's evil desires, and the Bible acknowledges the fact that there are desires. Uh, a verse from 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. Paul's writing to the Corinthians, and he says, "All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be dominated. I will not be dominated by anything." So Paul is, writing to the Corinthians and essentially saying that there are lots of things that we can do. There anything we can do, anything humans are able to do as Christians, we can do anything anybody else can do. But that doesn't mean we should, and that doesn't mean that it's going to benefit us. Even if it's not a sin, it doesn't mean that it's going to benefit us. Some of the things that we do, some of the things that we desire, um, we may not be, they may not even be evil desires, but they may not be valuable desires to us. So we have to recognize the the difference between good and evil intentions, essentially, and this is part of that phase two where we've gone through and we've understand we understand our purpose, um, to live and glorify God and dive into what that looks like in a day-to-day basis. And now we have to begin to identify the desires of our heart and what is honoring God, what is valuable to us, what is valuable to not just us in this life but eternity, and what is valuable to people around us. Uh, there's again there's lots of things that we can do, and it may not be sinning, but that doesn't mean it's going to benefit us. So we need to become aware of that, and moving into the second part of this overview is just aligning our desires, aligning our intentions with God's will and God's purpose for us. Um, there's there's so much stuff. We've been given so many opportunities, so many abilities in this world that uh, there's lots of things that are overlooked in terms of uh, how we can use them to honor and glorify God. And we really need to, as the Bible says, acknowledge God in all ways and earnestly seek Him, and doing this with every area of our life, especially our desires, because in this phase we're answering the question, where am I going? Where am I moving from this point forward? Where am I going? Our desires are what's going to guide us. I won't say lead us, but guide us, because where our desires are, as the Bible says, where the treasures are of our heart, that's where we're going. That's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to gain. And if the desires are of this world, then we're going to be moving away from God, and we do not want to move away from God. We want to move towards God. So we need to align our desires with God's will and with God's purpose for us. And I've talked about it already, but as we start to understand the differences, there's some desires that are blatantly obvious. They are evil desires, evil intentions. But there's some that, on the surface level, you might think, this is fine, it's okay, I'm not sinning. But desire, as I mentioned, comes from the heart. And when we look at the heart of the issue, maybe the desires that don't look evil or don't look of ill intent are actually of ill intent. And our desires are for um, for something that doesn't honor and glorify God. An example I would think would be, when we put up security, when we think about financial security, if our desires is to, have money so we are secure, we are prepared, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing per se. But if our desire is to have that financial security, quote unquote security, because we don't have the trust or faith that God will provide for us, that's a different issue. That's our desire is off and doesn't align with God. So we need to be aware of that. And again, this is just part of phase 2, where we really start to dive into, what are the desires? What are our desires? And are we doing the things to honor and glorify God, or are we doing things to fulfill the desires of this world? And again, this is all part of that phase 2 of the course that's going to be coming out. The focus is becoming uncontrolled to becoming disciplined. And as I think about, what it kind of looks like to be uncontrolled, and moving from uncontrolled to disciplined, is really moving from the chaos of this world, to the calm that God offers us, to the peace that God offers us. So again, we need to understand our purpose, which I spoke of last week, gave an overview of what's kind of the general idea there. And today was desires. And next week is going to be awareness. We need to really have the awareness. And these, these are all in different three separate phases in terms of the course, but ultimately they are all intertwined. They're not separate. They're not their own necessarily standalone thing. They all really intertwine, and you can focus on one, but as you focus on one, the others are in play. So I don't want anybody to also think like, oh, this is purpose, desire, awareness. These are all their own separate thing. They are, but they're not at the same time, because everything is intertwined. So I'm gonna wrap it up before I do a deep dive into desire, and really go into more than what needs to be. Again, this is just an overview of phase 2 of a course that's coming out, and as I've been thinking about it, I may call it Chaos to Calm, and the goal is to move from living an uncontrolled life, a life that doesn't honor and glorify God, to moving to a disciplined life that does honor and glorify God. This is the goal of the course that's coming out. This is the goal of these phases, and this is what we're called to do. This is what I want for you. We need to live a life that honors and glorifies God. And to do that, we have to be disciplined. We can't be living in the chaos, the undisciplined way that this world wants us to live, living in fear, living in doubt. We have confidence in God, or we can have confidence in God when we put our faith and trust in God, and earnestly seek God and acknowledge Him in all of our ways. So again, this is just phase 2. I encourage you to check out honorandglorifygod.com or honorandglorify.com, and again, sign up for the ebook, free ebook. Also check out @surrender.strength on Instagram, on Facebook, putting up different posts. We're focusing on self-controlled right now, each day. Just putting a verse up, and just helping you align your life and live a life that is self-controlled. So that's on Instagram, Facebook, and next week we'll go over phase 3, and we'll move on from there. I'm grateful that you guys are here, grateful you guys are listening, and just pray that you have a great week, and that you live in a way that honors and glorifies God. Pray, get in the Word. I've started rereading the Proverbs, and I'm probably just going to continue to, as I'm reading other parts of the Bible, just go through a chapter of that each day, because there's so much wisdom in that, along with the entire Bible, but just something that I've been doing recently, and I would encourage you guys to do as well, to just continue to align your life with God and live in a way that honors and glorifies God. So again, encourage you to do that. Until next week, be blessed. You are blessed and highly favored as a son and daughter of God. Thanks for listening. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook @Surrendered Strength. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and live the Surrendered Strength code: discipline, courage, honor.